Absence. There is no apologies tonight. We're all here. So we'll move to item 2 on the agenda, community consultation. We have one registered speaker for community consultation, Mr Peter Gill. I'll ask you to come to the podium, please. And declare the item you're speaking to.
Item 10.2. Mayor, councillors, staff, members of the public. I speak against the motion as framed. That does not set me against the concept of backtrack. The proposal has merit. However, 1. Why is 100k needed to write an initial funding application when this should be within the skill set of existing budgeted council staff? 2. From the published motion, 4 pages of information, that's all there is to assess. A. Minutes of the CSC meeting 25 September 2025 are not available. B. There is nil advice about the scope of expenditure, i.e. what is proposed to be built for circa $4 million expenditure over purchase price. It is my presumption this motion does not intend authority for purchase or lease of property. D. Animals require care. Will the out-of-town location and travel time require 24/7 residence at additional cost? E. There is no reference to how this program will 1. Tie in with justice or orders made in courts, something I would expect as a fundamental of a diversionary scheme. 2. Ongoing funding including staffing, counsellors, transport, catering and security. 3. Source of funding for the application and the implied lease or purchase. Point F. This is not council core business. While it is good to have at no cost in both capital and operating costs, unfortunately, governments have a habit of not keeping up with the ongoing funding over time, resulting in cost shifting to the community. This is a foreseeable risk that needs to be addressed. G. My advice is that social work and community justice are hugely overworked and struggle to attract and maintain staff. This issue is not addressed. H. There is no documented evidence provided of first round government support for this initial first round application. Ordinarily, one does not commit funds without a chance of success. I appreciate that Council certainly has an advocacy role in this matter and that its use of facilities for such purposes could be a positive for Tamworth. I would really like to be on board with this initiative. However, until resolution of the matters raised, I'm unable to support it in the proposed form without amendment. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr Gill. Councillors, there are no other registered speakers for community consultation. So we'll move on to item 3, minutes of the previous meeting submitted for approval. Could I have a mover and a seconder? Move Councillor Sharp and seconded Councillor Mears. Any questions on those minutes? I'll put those minutes as being a true and correct record. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. Councillor Rodder, did you put your... Councillors, we'll move straight on to item 4, disclosures of interest. Are there any disclosures of interest? Councillor Ryan Brooke.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. For item 12.1, 2 of the enclosed council, 2 of the real estate firms who replied to this request for quotation are clients of my place of work. But if we were to proceed with either of those firms, it wouldn't result in any direct business for my place of work. So I consider that a non-significant interest and I'll be staying in the room.
Thank you. Any further disclosures of interest? There being no further disclosures of interest, I'll move on to item 5, mayoral minute. Councillors, I've brought forward a mayoral minute in relation to a request from Tamworth Legacy for a Veterans Family Fun Day that they're having on Sunday, the 18th. and they've requested a small donation to help them with the hire of a coffee machine, purchase of some Century-based toys, some purchase of some dry foods for children and some prize for some children games. It's a family fun day that's organised by Legacy. It's there for a number of reasons. They're having it to get people together that are serviced by Legacy, also the volunteers that work for Legacy, and I think they're a fantastic organisation. They very much genuinely need support wherever they can get it from, wherever in the community, and I commend the motion to you. So if anyone like to make comments? Anyone wish to speak against or for? Make comments.
Yeah, certainly not speaking against, Mr Mayor. I think we need to remember that Legacy, they support families of veterans. That includes emergency services, veterans who have died in war, and they continue to help their families both financially and making sure the children are educated. And I think this is a fantastic opportunity for us to really partner with an incredible organisation.
Thank you, Councillor. There's further comments. Councillor Mears.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. I too would support this motion wholeheartedly, being an ex-military myself. I've actually had 3 colleagues pass away at sea when I worked on submarines. So anything we can do to support Legacy, to support those families is, I think, something that to me is a no-brainer, and they need all the support they can get. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Mears. Further comments? There being no further comments, I'll put my Merrill minute. All those in favour of supporting that, please raise their hand. Say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. Thank you. Councillors, we now move on to item 6, a notice of motion. Councillor Mears. Would you like to move that notice of motion?
Yeah, I'll
I'll
move
call
that
for a
motion,
seconder.
thank you. And call
I'll call for a seconder. Councillor Rodder. The floor is yours, Councillor Mears.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. I rise today to speak in support of my notice of motion, which seeks to engage our residents in a key question of democratic representation. Should our community's mayor be directly elected by the public or continue to be selected by council? The role of the mayor is central to local leadership, civic representation and the direction of our community. Yet the method by which the mayor is chosen, whether by council vote or by popular vote, is not always clear to residents nor regularly reviewed. As our community grows and expectations of transparency and accountability evolve, it is timely to ask what method of selection best reflects the will of the people. The motion does not seek to change the method. It proposes to survey residents for an independent, accessible and well-communicated consultation to understand their views on the current process, a direct popular vote for mayor and the values and priorities they associate with each option. Democracy works best when the people are heard, not just during election, but between them. A survey is a cost-effective, low-risk and inclusive way to gather community input. It builds trust in our processes and shows that we are listening, especially on matters that shape how power and leadership are exercised. It ensures that we are not making assumptions about what residents want. It provides data to guide future decisions or reform, whether we stay with the current system or consider change. It promotes civic education by inviting residents to think more deeply about local governance. Some may say this is unnecessary or premature. I would argue that it's responsible governance to check in with the community on structural issues from time to time. Others may worry it opens a can of worms, but I believe our residents are capable of engaging thoughtfully on this issue. This is not a referendum and it is not binding. It's simply a conversation starter, backed by real community input. In conclusion, this motion is about good process. It's about ensuring that the way we choose our local leaders aligns with community values. I urge you and fellow councillors to support this motion so we can open the door to an informed, respectful public discussion on the issue that goes to the heart of our local democracy. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thanks, Councillor Mears. Anyone wish to speak against? Councillor Sharpen.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I think we have to remember that as councillors we should be working as a team. And I put forward that the NHL, the NFL, a lot of college sports, and including our cricket teams here in Australia, they get their players to have plenty of input and vote on who will be the captain. And also note that the mover and seconder of this both speak about deficiencies and spending ratepayers' money efficiently. But the advice from the General Manager is that this survey alone could cost between $50,000 and $80,000, with a referendum costing somewhere around $450,000, which to me, $500,000 for what? I find it deeply hypocritical to have this on the agenda.
Further speakers for? Councillor Rodda.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. From the outset, I'd like to say that $450,000 for a referendum is actually way over what the cost would be. I was advised not so long ago that the cost would be around in the vicinity of $150,000 if run concurrently with local government elections, not $450,000. I understand the cost of survey would be a little less, but I guess ultimately, what price would you put on democracy? I fully support Councillor Mears' recommendation and congratulate him for bringing it forward. I believe this proposal reflects the wishes of many of our residents who want the opportunity to vote for a system that allows them to elect their mayor directly, just as they elect their state and federal representatives, or to retain the current system if they so choose. If we were to properly survey our residents, I'm confident we would find that many currently would want to choose their own mayor. People are frustrated by what they perceive as a closed shop, where a majority of councillors decide among themselves who will be the mayor. I believe this practice is not healthy for a local democracy, nor for the voters who seek change but end up with what they feel to be more of the same. Denying our residents the opportunity to participate in a survey for a popularly elected mayor is not merely undemocratic, it is anti-democratic. I believe it shows a lack of respect for our residents and the majority of our electors. We've heard the same old reasons why this shouldn't happen. The system isn't broken, it costs too much, or we know what's best for you. As for the cost, democracy is never free or cheap. We've seen that at every tier of government and even local government elections. But as I said, what price are we willing to put on our democracy? We spend millions on new sporting facilities, hundreds of thousands subsidising sporting events and tens of thousands on travel. Later tonight, we'll be asked to spend $100,000 on a concept plans for a project that may never be supported by state or federal governments. We've invested millions in infrastructure that arguably should have been paid for by developers, roundabouts, detention basins, road upgrades and more. So let's not pretend that the cost of a referendum is where our fiscal prudence suddenly begins. Consider too the ongoing cost of legal proceedings Council is currently involved in. There are 13 matters listed this month alone, many with the Land Environment Court, and 4 code of conduct complaints noted in our business paper. How much did they cost our ratepayers? If we truly value transparency, accountability and community trust, then the democratic right of our residents to choose a system to directly elect their mayor should be beyond question. There is still a long way to go with this proposal. Even if it gains support, a referendum would not be held until 2028, and if successful, the change would not take effect until 2032. I therefore appeal to fellow councillors to uphold democratic principles and allow our residents the opportunity to decide via, first of all, a survey and then possibly a referendum, how they wish their mayor to be selected, because it's clear that a significant number of our residents will like the council to explore the option of a referendum for a directly elected mayor.
Thanks, Councillor Rodda. Further speakers against Councillor Sutherland.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and I will not be supporting the notice of motion, but for a different reason. I am completely for engagement and surveying and asking community what they want, and I think as a council there's a really thorough process through consultation that we run through. The Community Strategic Plan is a great example of that. I do not see this notice of motion as the promotion or an attack on democracy. We have a democratic process as a local election on electing our local representatives. That is a clear process where community members have an opportunity to elect a representative, and there are 9 of us sitting here at the table that have been put in this position through that democratic process. I do not see the surveying of residents asking the question around the way that the mayor is elected as not so much the use of funds, because I know that the majority of residents have already told me that they would like the ability to choose who the mayor is. You know, and so I don't think we need to invest in any money for the community to get to that understanding. As the general public, I think there is a majority of understanding that people would like to elect who that mayor is. As a councillor, I push back against that idea. The role of the mayor is multifaceted. Not only does it represent the community, but it also leads us and provides us direction as councillors towards a direction to meet our strategic goals and achievements as a council. It's not just about who's the community rep and who's going to do the media and who's going to speak and who is the face of the council. It's about leading a consent or leading a productive council to get the best outcome for the residents. As a councillor, I think that we are in a really unique position to understand other councillors and their ability to achieve that goal. You know, I've grown up playing sports my whole life, and the most popular player is not always the team captain. Leadership is different than who is the most popular. Leadership is who can lead a community, us as a council, into the direction moving forward. Now, I watched the grand final on the weekend that just went. Reece Walsh, most popular player, not the team captain. You know, we have to separate who is the most popular through a popularly elected mayor process into who is best suited as one of the 9 community elected representatives to lead the council moving forward. And as much as I understand that the residents would like the ability to have a say in that, I believe they do by electing us as 9 councillors to make that decision. And so for that, I will not be supporting the notice of motion.
Thanks, Councillor Sutherland. Further councillors to speak in favour of the recommendation? Councillor Rook.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Look, I'm going to speak in support of this item, but I think I might have a unique position approaching this. In the past, I've been public about not actually supporting directly elected mayors. And if this question goes the distance of jumping the various hurdles in its way and makes it all the way to a referendum, as a resident at the ballot box, I would actually vote against it. But the question before us isn't whether or not we personally want to see a directly elected mayor. It's whether or not we want to undertake a non-binding community consultation process to gauge residents' preferences. I don't see an issue with putting a survey to residents to gauge support and build knowledge on a topic that evidently, from the feedback that I receive and I know that we all receive, is far from a fringe position within this community. However, it would be quite a prolonged and expensive path to walk if the will of the community is that way and they do want us to set down it. I do think that the consultation process would have to require a formal submission to be made rather than a simple yes or no question on the matter. But I also want to point out that this format, I think, would allow for those of us that don't support the proposal of a directly elected mayor to elaborate on the issues and the limitations of a directly elected mayor and pitch that case to residents. So I will be supporting this motion, although I seem to be going against the tide on this, I think. If the proposed survey does go ahead, I'll be engaging with residents about what I think is best for our local democracy, with the faith that residents are capable of making a valuable contribution armed with good information from both sides of the argument.
Further speakers against? Councillor North.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to actually support Mark Sutherland, Councillor Mark Sutherland, for he spoke so well on raising a lot of points that I was going to speak to as well. He's done well, I think, and spoke so well. I'll just reiterate a few points I believe in, and that I've learned. We've been here for 12 months now in this group of councillors. But I want to reiterate, popularity isn't necessarily a good leader. A good leader brings people together and along. on a journey that we're all looking, a vision that we all have together. That's the councillors, that's the staff. We've got to have a good relationship with the general manager. He's our key to the staff. Most importantly, the mayor needs the numbers. And that's where we come in when we elect the mayor. He's speaking on behalf of anything we pass or view or do in council meetings. He is the voice of the councillors, regardless of whether he believes it or not. He has to go out there and sell the idea or the concept of what we are trying to put forward. That'd be an awfully precarious or difficult position to be in if you're a popularly elected mayor, but you don't have the numbers of the council. It'd be a very disruptive mess of a term, I think. And that's why I think Councillor Brooke is raising, has concerns about it and would vote against it, for example. We need to remember those things. And I think, sadly, the people out there, the residents of the region, don't understand the roles or the role that the mayor has and the role that the councillors have and how the system works. The mayor needs the numbers. So a popular elected mayor, which could possibly struggle with that, and that would cause problems for the overall council. And we're not talking the term, it would linger on for 6 to 10 years. We need to be a progressive council, and I believe in the way the system we have now does that.
Further comments, councillors? Councillor Impey.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Look, I won't vote with the motion in front of us. I'm of the view that people I talk to generally talk to me about the community they live in, not necessarily who leads or who is the mayor. They talk about the people who lead the organisation of council, that is the councillors, and how they work with the general manager and how they work with the community to ensure that the community continues to grow. I moved here in 1992, and the community of Tamworth is a vastly more developed and livable city than what it was when I moved here 33 years ago. And I think even in the next 10 years, our community will continue to grow because we have good governance by and large. And that good governance comes from the 9 team members, not just from the mayor, his or herself. Those 9 team members, those 9 leaders in our community are democratically elected by the community. They are chosen by the community to lead together. And I'm, I guess, old school, call it what you like, but I am of the view that if the system ain't broke, why fix it? Somewhere around 28-29% of councils, I believe, in the state of New South Wales have popularly elected mayors. Now, if that was a good system and it was working very well, I would imagine now we would probably have 80 or 90% of councils with popularly elected mayors because others would follow. But others haven't followed because what they have in place has principally and primarily worked for them in their communities, as it has in our community for a long, long, long time. So I will vote against the motion.
Thanks, Councillor Impey. Any other comments? Councillor Budd.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can I say from the outset that I think the consultation with the community is key on so many subjects and so many issues. But also add caution to the fact that as councillors we shouldn't jump at every shadow that comes our way. And I've heard people say today that they've had numerous people approach them about wanting a popularly elected mayor. We clearly work in different circles because I can say adamantly that no one has ever said to me, I want to have a popularly elected mayor. And in fact, just this morning at a community event of business leaders, and indeed the CEO of a nationwide company joined in the conversation, and they said, why would we even consider this? Why would a council that's functioning even consider this? They're more concerned with, the ratepayers are more concerned with going to work, paying their bills, raising their family, enjoying the good amenity of community and what council provides. During the week, there was a social media post by council that alleged council have agendas. This motion is agenda is the agenda of Two Chums on Council. This has nothing to do with the rest of the councillors, nor community, in my view.
Councillor,
I think that's rather disparaging that Two Chums on Council. It's not my idea. It's ideas that have been brought to me by numerous residents over the last 4 or 5 years. I think we've had 3 attempts at putting a motion to have a referendum, and they were voted down, and residents have continually spoken about the opportunity to elect a mayor. Not because Two Chums are on council. I won't be here in 2032. I doubt Councillor Rodder will be here in 2022. In fact, half the people at this table won't be here in 2022. This is about a process that is legal under Local Government Act. There are 2 ways to elect a mayor, either by council or popular elected mayor. That's what I'm seeking consultation on, not the fact that someone might be a mate of mine.
Councillor Mears, what's your point of order actually on? I'm just trying to work out.
Insulting or inflammatory. Yeah, 1511.
1511D, I think it is, Mr Mayor. I think it's probably valid.
Yeah, you can finish, you can take your seat, and I'll ask Councillor Budd just to pull that comment back. Thank you.
Yeah, Mr Mayor, I apologise. I withdrew that comment. Are we right to proceed? Thank you very much. One of the big issues here in relation to this proposal is there is no estimates, any hard estimates. In fact, there's no supporting information in the motion which gives us a hard and fast indication of what this process would cost. There is some thrown around comments, $80,000, $30,000. It could be $150,000, we don't know. So I'm not prepared to commit to an unqualified amount of money on a survey. The survey issue is one thing, but the spending of the ratepayers' funds to achieve that is quite another. So there's no supporting information to support that. Potentially, it could be $150,000. Potentially down the track, as we face a referendum, if it was moved, additional maybe $150,000, maybe $400,000. Money that I'm not prepared to commit from council ratepayers' rates. It's somewhat hypocritical to come into this room and espouse that we're acting in the interest of ratepayers and the spending of money, and then come back in and suggest $150,000 potentially just for a survey. I wasn't elected into this position to council to make bad decisions on behalf of the ratepayers. I was elected to be a leader in the room along with my other colleagues and to make good sound judgment calls on how we spend ratepayers' funds. In terms of leadership, our other colleagues here tonight have mentioned the fact that leadership is not about being popular. Leadership is about what an individual brings to the table in terms of their skills to work in community, support business, support ventures in community, support community groups, and support other councillors in achieving their goals as they serve. I read with interest today, my friend Ryan Brook does a great summary every week of the upcoming information of council. It's great. It's a really good read. He's right across everything, and he made a comment about that popular mayoral election and the unfortunate outcome that occurs when a popularly elected mayor gets put on the podium and doesn't have the support of the councillors. Nothing happens. And to quote Councillor Brook, they have a lame duck mayor that can't achieve anything. That's a real risk to us, and we really can't afford to have our reputation, no matter who that mayor might be, we can't afford to have that reputation of our council tarnished. Importantly, if a popularly elected mayor was eventually pushed through, and in 2032 we elected a popularly elected mayor, the following scenario might occur. God forbid that elected mayor may become ill, they may resign, they may pass away. The ratepayer then would be having to pay an additional huge amount of money to have an electoral commission election again of another mayor. The inconvenience to community and a major cost. At best, this is an obsequious motion at its absolute best. I have no problems with the consult to community. The information contained or not contained in the motion in terms of supporting evidence doesn't exist, and I can't support this motion. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, councillor Budd. So all councillors have spoken, but I will make some comments. Councillors and members of the public, I think we all know that both state and federal government work on a similar premise as we do as a council. In state and federal government, members of parliament are elected in their own areas. They then form a team, whether it be as part of a party or not, but if they form a team as part of, whether it be the Labor Party, whether it be the Liberal Party, whether it be the National Party, whether it be the Greens or whatever, those elected reps, they choose their leader. That's the way it works, and it's worked like that since Federation, and that is exactly how it works. I know that's exactly how it works, and quite often we'll see after an election, if somebody fails to gain support from the wider community and their party stays in an opposition role, those leaders often change, and they change through the decisions made by each of those elected reps that are a part of that team. In local government, I see that we, as our council, we have 9 councillors at this table, and those 9 councillors have to work with whoever they choose as their leader, as the mayor. They also have to work with whoever they choose as their deputy mayor. And I think that's probably the way that it should be. I support that. I will say that there have been many popular elect mayors in the past of councils that have become very problematic. I've seen mayors from other councils attending conferences, haven't had the support of the council, and they weren't able to vote at that conference because the council would not give them the delegation to vote. Do we want a council like that? No, we don't. Does our community understand how that works? I don't think they do. Across the state, I know, Councillor Impey, you mentioned, there's only, the vast majority of councils across our state operate as we do. There's only 26% of them, of councils in New South Wales that have a popular elect mayor. That's not and that's been like that for quite some time. Most councils work the way we do. 9 councillors are elected, or in some cases 12 councillors are elected by the community. Those councillors, they elect a leader. If they don't like that leader along the way, they can change it. But in the case of a popular elect mayor, for whatever reason, if that popular elect mayor is very unpopular and doesn't have the support of the council, it becomes very dysfunctional. And that's not something that I'd like to see within this region and for Tamworth into the future. And I know that I won't be here, I'll be doing something else. But so it's not going to impact on me, but I think it'd be a slur on the council for the future to have to carry that burden if a popular elect mayor who wasn't the best leader was elected and we became dysfunctional. And that quite possibly can happen, and it can happen quite easily. So, councillors, I don't support the recommendation, not because I don't support a referendum or a what have you, I just don't support the fact that we could go down the track of having a popular elect mayor, because I personally don't believe it'll work, having seen what's happened in the past in other councils. So, councillors, we've all spoken, and I'm Councillor Mears. You can close the debate, Councillor Mears.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Sitting here listening to some of the objections is actually a little bit humorous, unfortunately. I respect the views of the current councillors, but talking about the way federal politics and state politics leaders are elected, very, very few times does a party go to a federal or state election where the leader is not known prior to the election. It's only if that leader of the party doesn't get elected at his local electorate is there then a caucus to put a new leader in place. So to say that we're different or not any different than local government, in federal state government is a misnomer. No one at this stage, or at this election, last council election, put their hands up and said, if I get elected, I'm going to put my hand up as mayor and I'm the leader of the party, as opposed to federal and state elections. So that's issue number one. We're making a lot of assumptions that a lot of popular elected, or there's not many popular elected mayors, and it's 35 out of 128, which is 27%. Yes, it's not a great number, but this council on 3 occasions have brought forward to have a referendum, and that's been stifled or voted down by councillors. What's the chances that's what's occurring in other councils, and therefore their residents never get an opportunity to speak? The survey that I'm calling for is not to cause division. It's to seek approval or otherwise from the residents if they wish to go to a popular elected mayor or not. Then it comes back to council for us to make that decision. There was analogies made in regards to football teams. Well, this is not a football team. You don't take your boots off after 2 hours. It's a long process. And I haven't seen, I've failed to be able to locate any council, the popular elected mayor going to administration, but there are quite a lot of council-elected councils, or mayors, not the mayor themselves, but have gone into administration. So the one hand and the other about it'd be popular, it's no good, and the other process is better, certainly doesn't stack up in evidence. And I think what we're all failing to take into consideration, everyone at this table, the mayor included, went to the election last September, could quote me if I'm wrong, and we put our faith in the residents. I don't think there's anyone at this table that got, whether it was 20%, 7%, 15%, 19%, would think that any of the residents that voted for them got it wrong because they're on council. So why is that any different if we ask the residents to pick the mayor as well? It's all right to them to pick us, but heavens forbid our residents have their own say. Aren't they intelligent enough to pick what they would consider a decent leader, one that they want? So in closing, I'd just say that we're here to represent residents and obviously to make sure council goes well. But when our residents, and 4 councillors told me tonight, not including myself, that they believe if this was put, it would be overwhelming to go to a popular elected mayor. So what are our councils actually frightened of if they already know through circumstantial evidence that our residents want to go for a popular elected mayor? Just say, good luck at the next election when you actually tell people that you knew that they wanted their own popular elected mayors, and we've said no. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Mears. That closes the debate, so I'll put the recommendation that's before us. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. 3. Those opposed? Aye. 6. So that notice of motion is lost. Thanks, Councillor Mears. We'll move on now to open council reports, and we'll go to item 7.1. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Move Councillor Sharpen, seconded Councillor Impey. Councillor Sharpen, you wish to speak to that?
I think it's just a fitting segue, Mr Mayor, from the legacy support we all voted for earlier. These World War I servicemen's sacrifice is being etched into Tamworth's history.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against that recommendation? Any further comments on that recommendation? There being no further comments, all those in favour of the recommendation, please raise their hands and say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. We'll move on to, straight from there into infrastructure and services, and we'll go to 8.1. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Move Councillor Mears, seconded Councillor Sutherland. Councillor Mears, you wish to speak to that? Anyone wish to speak against that recommendation? Any further comments on that recommendation? There being no further comments, I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour, please say aye and raise their hand. Carried unanimously. We'll move straight to item 8.2. Councillors, the Sustainability and Strategy Report. Could I have a move and a second? To move Councillor Sutherland, seconded Councillor Brooke. Councillor Sutherland, do you wish to speak to that?
No, thank you.
Anyone wish to speak against that report? Really, it's a progress report. So, any other comments on that report? Councillor Brooke.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I wanted to thank Mr. Logan and his directorate for a very comprehensive report. I know the update has been appreciated by myself and residents across the LGA who care about sustainability efforts and either want to see or expect that council be a leader in that space. As you know, I've had an extensive read of this progress report, which raised various follow-up questions, and I appreciate the subsequent answers I've gotten from those questions as well. I'd also want to congratulate the Sustainability Unit on the work that has gone into implementing the strategy since its adoption in 2022. In particular, I commend the effort that has gone into updating our DCP, the forthcoming amendments to our LEP, the various efforts to encourage waste separation and redirection, the various and ongoing urban greening initiatives to combat urban heat islands as well. I've noticed a trend across the focus areas that the completion of major works are required as a tipping point. That some completions of major projects or works are required as a tipping point to enable more subsequent actions to be carried out, such as the recommendation of the energy audit or the upcoming biodiversity mapping for the energy and natural environment focus areas respectively. For water and waste, this is taking the form of major projects such as the proposed industrial water recycling plant and the organics processing facility. I think the work that has gone towards these major projects and the individual status of being shortly completed or at crucial milestones in the development puts us at a really exciting time going into development of the next iteration of the strategy next year. And I very much look forward to weighing in and assisting in its development process.
Thank you, Councillor Brooke. Further comments, councillors? There being no further comments, I'll just make a very quick one. I think what the staff have done in this particular area, along with others that have got involved from the community, I think is absolutely to be commended, so thank you. All those in favour, please put their hand and say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. Councillors, we'll move on to item 9, governance and strategy, and we have disclosure of interest returns. Could I move in a second to Councillor Impey, seconded Councillor North. Councillor Impey, wish to make comment?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Anyone wish to speak against what's been written in the receiver note? All those in favour of the report, please raise their hand, say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. Councillors, we now move to item 9.2, National Roads and Transport and Infrastructure Congress to be held in Bendigo. Could I have a move and a seconder? Move Councillor Sharpen, seconded Councillor North. Do you want to speak to that, Councillor Sharpen?
Not specifically, except to nominate.
I have anyone wish to speak against the recommendation here? We have to pick councillors that might want to attend. So those I have 2 people that have indicated, being Councillor Sharpen and Councillor North, have indicated they'd wish to attend. Have we got any other councillors that wish to attend? No. Councillors, any further comments on that report? And if we include the 2 councillor representatives as North and Sharpen, any further comments? There being no further comments, you'll probably send a manager, I dare say.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Unfortunately, I'll be away on those dates, but there will be somebody from my director to attend.
Thank you. So we have a move and a second for that. Could I say all those in favour, please raise their hand. Aye. Carried unanimously again. Councillors, will now move to item 9.3, public interest disclosures and code of conduct complaints. Could I have a move and a seconder? Move Councillor Budd, seconded Councillor North. Councillor Budd, you wish to speak to that? Anyone wish to speak against that report as written? Any further comments on that report? Councillor Mears.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. More of a question than a comment. I noticed code of conduct, is those complaints come externally to council, or are they a combination of internal and external ones?
That's a question I can't answer. I might go to, not allowed to answer, Councillor Mears. not in a public forum.
Okay. Can I ask that question in closed council then?
Councillor Mears, can I take that on notice?
Yes, Mr Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Further comments, councillors? There being no further comments, I'll put the recommendation as printed. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. We'll move straight from there to item 10. 10.1, Tamworth Regional Draft Graffiti Management Plan. Could I have a move and a seconder, please? Move councillor Budd, seconded councillor Sharpen. Councillor Budd, you wish to speak to that?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Our graffiti management plan represents a body of work based on stakeholder engagement and experience from our team within council. I really commend the work of our team and the way in which they address graffiti throughout our community. As we know, it's been a highlighted issue in recent times, and additionally, from the safety working group, the CCTV that supports that throughout our city is also excellent, and the upgrades that are coming our way in the future of CCTV will only enhance the way in which we manage graffiti. It's important to note that this management plan makes a distinction between art and between harmful damage, which I think is really important to communities as they express themselves through art, but not through criminal activities. So I commend the motion, Mr Mayor. Thank you.
Council, does anyone wish to speak against that report, the findings of that report? Further, Councillor Sutherland?
Yeah, just a further comment, just to reiterate what Councillor Budd said.
Councillor, are you supporting or
Making comment.
comment? Okay. You go.
All right. Yeah, just a comment in support of what Councillor Budd has said. You know, the management plan is also going to help us to attract some external funding to make sure that we can get the resources needed to stay on top of our graffiti management, and the distinction between art and damage is important. So I just want to thank the great work of Mr Gino Tabiri for pulling this report together.
Any councillor wish to speak against that report? Any further comments on that report? There being no further comments, I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour say aye. 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 Carried unanimously. Councillors, we'll now move to item 10.2, proposal to establish a facility to house a youth diversionary program. Could I have a move and a seconder, please? Move councillor Budd, seconded councillor Brook. Councillor Budd, do you wish to speak to that?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. During the campaign to be elected to this council, I openly and clearly indicated my intentions to try the very best that I can to initiate some youth diversion programs within our community. And I hear the comments earlier from our public speaker, questioning and wondering about the whole project. What that actually is a reflection of how complicated the entire process is. It is true that it's not the Ballywick Council to be involved in law enforcement, and it's not the Ballywick Council to be involved in youth rehabilitation and providing opportunities for youth. But it is our role, wherever possible, to explore ways which we can support those that do. And there are plenty of organisations who are struggling within Tamworth itself to have space to move in terms of youth initiatives. There is an opportunity to look at the model of Backtracks in Armidale, which is highly successful, and in my experience, in my research, probably one of the better programs in New South Wales, if not Australia. It's unique, and it offers a whole range of options for getting our kids, and we're not talking about kids who are the high-risk offenders in our communities, we're talking about kids who are disengaged. Kids who are disengaged from education, they're disengaged socially, they're disengaged from family, they have a range of problems, and that's a big bunch of kids. This is about giving those kids the opportunity to shine through a program that will not be owned by council. I want to repeat that. It will not be owned by council. What we will do is facilitate an opportunity for an NGO, a non-profit organisation with proper governance, give them the space to operate. Provide the opportunity for our kids. This won't happen overnight. This is just a fact finder. And I know there's a bit of money involved in achieving that, but we have to have a start. We're one of the biggest regional cities in New South Wales. We match Wagga in size. We're bigger than most of the ones on the coast. We have no formulated program here to support our kids into the future and provide the kids with the living skills and opportunities to shine in life. I could go on with this conversation for hours, Mr Mayor, councillors. Councillors have been well briefed in relation to this entire process. We've got great support. I really do enjoy the support I've had from Director Gina Verica in relation to this, and the entire council staff, their enthusiasm to just absorb the opportunity to provide. I can only commend this as a first stage of many stages. Do it slowly, do it correctly, and we can give our kids a very bright future. I commend the motion, Mr Mayor.
Anyone wishing to speak against the recommendations printed? Councillor Rodder.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. According to Backtrack, 1 in 5 young people are disengaged from mainstream education. It costs $1.1 million per year to incarcerate a child. Each year, 40,000 young people experience homelessness in Australia. In New South Wales, 85% of young people released from sentence detention reoffend within 12 months. 1 in 3 young Australians report psychological distress and 13% live in poverty. Backtrack champions belonging, education, generosity and independence, all worthy principles that deserve our support. From the outset, I'm 100% in favour of hosting a program similar to Backtrack Armidale, but it must be funded by the other tiers of government, not Tamworth Regional Council. The more I read this report, the more concerns I have. The Community Safety Working Group is, by definition, an advocacy group. This proposal goes far beyond Council's core statutory responsibilities under the Local Government Act. This is a proposal with an apparent establishment cost of $6.57 million. Before we commit even a cent, we should have written evidence from the New South Wales or Commonwealth governments confirming financial support and ongoing operational funding. Based on the report, there have been only limited discussions with state ministers, and frankly, we are in what can only be described as a funding drought. It was difficult enough to secure support from former coalition governments. It seems to be just as hard under the current Labor governments. Then there are serious questions around ongoing management, governance and staffing. Who will administer this project? Who will sit on the board? Furthermore, when we approved a 36.3% rate increase over the past 2 years, there was no mention of this project as a beneficiary of the SRV funding. What budget is the proposed $100,000 coming from? What other priorities are being deferred or cancelled to pay for it? Only recently, the Mayor publicly criticised unfunded mandates, the growing burden of state responsibilities being shifted to local government. Yet here we are considering doing precisely that, voluntarily taking on a $7 million initiative that should sit squarely with the state government. Council already has a long list of major financial obligations. Many residents are rightly frustrated by recidivism and youth disengagement, but this proposal is not the silver bullet. Without clear written commitments from the state or Commonwealth governments, Council cannot simply take on such a costly and complex program. We have examples of shovel-ready projects like the 90,000 Gunnaganoo Road upgrade planning that have sat idle for years waiting for government funding since their original 2019 election promise. Residents want this council to stay in its lane and focus on what it is legally required to do: maintain roads, rubbish, water, sewage, footpaths, parks and pools. Let's fix the things we are delegated by law to fix and advocate, not bankroll the things that properly belong to other levels of government. Unless we receive written guarantees of initial and ongoing government support, I cannot support spending $100,000 on this project at this time.
Further comments, councillors? Councillor North.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Leadership. Leadership. This is all about leadership. Councillor Budd, utmost respect. Thank you. Gina Verica, Director of Livable Communities. I'm excited by the concept. The community wants us to chip in and do our part. We need to lead the way as well. We need to help formulate a plan. We don't have to be involved in running it, but it's all about leadership. I just want to go back to commending Councillor Budd for, he came into the election, as he said, and this is what he wanted to achieve, helping with law and order in our area. We're limited what council can do, and this is a great example of what we can chip in and do. He's got the experience there, he's done the research, he knows what's happened with backtracks in Armidale, and it's a wonderful concept. We're not looking to do exactly the same thing, but it's a great model to try and build something on, or for someone else to build something on. We are here to enable it to happen. We're not looking to spend the $6 million. If the government's going to not cough up for it, well, we miss out. We've seen an opportunity, and Councillor Budd's had a vision of what we can do, and he's trying to put that together with the help of staff, which is fantastic. We have a wonderful opportunity. This could be a generational change. It will take a time. If we can get it together, it will take time. We're talking 10, 20 years. That's what we're here for. We're here to build a vision for 20 years plus. I believe if we put the processes in place, if we build it, it will come. I noticed this week Backtrack's got more funding from the state government. So we're talking about funding. It's there for good programs. It's a great example for us to build a framework upon. There's the opportunity with the dog and cat facility that's available at the moment, but we're just looking to try and formulate something for the future. And as I said, it's all about leadership. If Tamworth Council stayed within its lanes of roads, rubbish, footpaths, parks, we wouldn't have the aircon facility we've got. We probably wouldn't have the Trek or the Country Music Festival. We are doers. We have good leadership. We go out there and nail our colours to the wall and we make things happen. This is for future generations, so we should be supportive of this. Again, thank you, Councillor Budd. Thank you, Director.
Further comments, councillors? Councillor Mears.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd like to thank Councillor Budd as well. I attended the last Crime Committee meeting where it was the first time I'd heard it was being looked into, and the presentation was excellent. I think it's a facility that sometime down the track is a must, and it would be better if it was much sooner than later. I know Councillor North said, 20 years down the track, and hopefully the committee was saying it could be 8 to 10 years or 6 to 8 years down the track. I just wonder that the expense spent now getting it project ready, as we have with many projects, and there is no funding, who's going to run it? Now, I do get if you build it, they will come. But yeah, my fellow councillor down here was quite critical of me expending money that I don't have, or whatever it was he said. And I think this is the same term. If I might indulge, could we get some information from Director Verica on what that $100 will be used for?
Gina? Director, Gina?
Through you, Mr Mayor, I think you've already touched on that if we're going to go for funding, we actually need more than a sketch plan. So while we have some very early estimates, we need to be able to go to the government, both levels, and say this is what it could look like and this is what each building would cost. So if it's a training room, an education facility, if it's the commercial kitchen, we need to know and be able to show that in detail and show that we have actually gone through the process of doing a correct estimate of the cost and where that would be located on the site, how it would fit on the site, and that costs money. And I'm not the expert in that, but talking to our experts in regional services, that is the amount that would give us enough to do that process so we're ready when we talk to the levels of government or when other funding programs come up that we're not aware of at this time.
Yeah, thank you, Director. I just want to reiterate too that we did discuss this last time we chatted, and I think you advised that the planning or the plans could be taken anywhere. So this block of land becomes unavailable. Once the plans are done, they're done, and obviously there would be some amendments to, site elevations, etc. But yeah, it's not something that would be, if we lose this block of land, we'll lose 100,000. So,
No.
thank you.
No, Councillor.
Yep.
Councillor Sutherland.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and I'll be speaking in support of the recommendation because the more that we can invest in young people, I think the brighter our future of a community is going to be. There's no secret that as a region, we have some underlying issues with youth justice and youth crime, and we've heard from the community around how action needs to be taken, that we need to feel safe and we need to have some ways in which we can try to support community safety. And I understand Councillor Rodder's comment to say that this isn't council's business, but investing in the community is. And I understand this is a significant amount of money to lay the groundwork for it to potentially be taken on, maybe attract external funding. I know it's hard to compare shovel-ready projects because the conversation around the need for roads from the state and federal governments is very different to the conversation for youth crime at the moment. We talk around the cost of the lives of young people, of how much it costs for people to be incarcerated, but we also know that when young people are incarcerated and go through the youth justice system, the percentage of them are significantly higher than reoffending. And how much is it costing them in their life? What's the future of their life look like? And this is a bold step. I agree with Councillor North in saying that this is a bold decision for us to be able to move in to investing in young people. But young people need safe spaces. They need safe spaces to engage in positive behaviour. And if we can help facilitate that, I think the significant cost that we're talking around now that can be moved to other locations will pay an extreme dividend at the end. Because for the same people who stand and say that we need tougher laws for young people, should also be the same people who advocate that we need diversionary programs so they don't get to that point. Because that's how we can invest in communities. And I just want to make mention that there are some programs around town that are doing some incredible things. I know that Councillor Butters talked around Backtracks as a pin-up example. Personally, I run a youth program based in town, but there are other youth programs in town that are doing some really cool stuff that need some support, that could really benefit from a space. And if we're able to provide a space, how would that support program and service delivery? I know that we're not committing to running the facility or delivering the program, but I think this is a responsible use of community funds to lay the foundation to attract significant money for that program to be delivered. It is a risk, but I think it's a risk that we need to take to try to advance community safety and investing in the lives of young people. So I will be supporting the recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Sutherland. Councillor Impey.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I will be supporting this as well. We talk about shovel readiness. What does shovel readiness mean? It means bringing to the attention of other tiers of government that you have a program, a building, a construction that is planned out, that is ready to be invested in, and will provide benefit for a long, long, long time into the future. Just as we have in the past, we have brought plans together at the cost of the community for the Aquatic Centre to ensure that it was a shovel-ready program ready to be funded. And in part it worked. We've also done that with other significant projects in the past. This is a significant project. If I was to stand here tonight and vote this down, I would have to look in the eye of those people in our community who have been subject to opportunistic crime. We're not talking about serious crime, we're talking about the theft of an item from a home. We're talking about myself actually. I had my favourite beloved push bike stolen from my garage where I lived about 9 years ago. I still miss it. It was opportunistic because I left my garage door open. If I'd not left my garage door open, I'd still have it there. But these are moments where I think people who commit these types of thefts are looking for an opportunity to give themselves a bit of a thrill. They're not hardcore criminals. But if we're able as a community to provide them with a facility that can look after them and nurture them and provide them with something in partnership with a whole lot of service providers out there who are looking to partner with other tiers of government, including our own. 3 tiers of government should be working on this together, not just 2 others. We live in our community and we should be protecting our community and supporting our community, and this is one way of being able to do that. Because those young people who do commit those opportunistic crimes and are then having their lives turned around can then become people who can provide so much for our growing community. They become employed, they have families, and so much more happens from that. Now, we just wait for the other 2 tiers of government to discover some magic bullet or magic potion. We might be waiting for a long time, but our investment could well just provide us with a magic bullet that suits the needs of our community. Thanks.
Councillor Brooke.
Look, I approve of us throwing our support behind this initiative and committing resources to giving this program a home and helping it get off the ground. And I do think both the Community Safety Working Group and Councillor Budd should be commended for the work done on developing this proposal so far. Councillor Sutherland really already touched on a lot of the points that I wanted to make, so I'll piggyback on his comments to say that I do think it's important to highlight that diversionary rehabilitation methods are a very important multifaceted part of addressing these issues. I hope that the initiative being put forward here will find support not just from councillors but from higher tiers of government alike. However, I think it's important for community and government alike to keep in mind that preventative socioeconomic initiatives to stop people being at risk of offending also play a large role here. While things like crime, health, education are the responsibility of state government, these are also core socioeconomic areas where, depending on the area, disproportionate exposure to or a lack of access to services lead to some use within our community being at risk in the first place. And I think this proposal is a good example of how local government can help play a role in these areas outside of the old adage of roads, rates and rubbish. I'd highlight that if, as a council, we are committed to making real, lasting, intergenerational change in these areas, we need to keep in mind that the intersectional ripple effect of the decisions we can make here in this chamber and act within the intention to do what we can to address these core issues. So I'll be supporting the motion.
Thanks, Councillor Brooke. Councillor Sharpen.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I may as well stand up, seeing I was the last one to speak. But Councillor North spoke of leadership. Councillor Impey spoke on opportunities. And I think I'll speak on purpose. These kids feel like they have no purpose, and I think in us having this business plan going forward, Director, you're an animal lover just like myself, to give these kids an opportunity to look after animals, to see, to be able to build things. This is an open slate that we can do anything with, and I think if Tamworth Regional Council can really commit something to the community, it'll attract funding from all sorts of places. And I can see this really being a very strong light right through the region and can only benefit our community as a whole.
Thank you. Before you close the debate, Councillor.
Question, Mr Mayor.
Yes.
Just a question in relation to where the fund, where the 100,000 will be sourced from.
I think that's in the report, Councillor Rodder.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Could pick up Councillor Rodder. The 100,000 will just come out of our general working fund, our working capital. That's why Council has that $8 million that we set aside as working capital for things that arise that haven't otherwise been budgeted for. That's why we maintain that working fund, just like you do in your household budget type thing when unexpected things arise. That's the purpose of having unrestricted funds sitting in general fund.
Thanks, Councillor Rodder. Yeah, you're right. I thought it was in another report where they talked about the financial implication. Councillor Budd, before you close the debate, I just want to make a couple of comments. There's an old saying, you got to drink the drink when it's fizzy. And this topic is very fizzy at the moment. It is a really hot topic at the moment. Both Councillor Budd and myself were invited to speak in front of a lower house inquiry at state government in relation to these particular issues. I was speaking on behalf of country mayors. Councillor Budd spoke on behalf of this council. We both received very good reports on our presentations, and I do know that the government are looking for opportunities, and I know that if we put up a program that is acceptable and shows a clear pathway forward, I think we will be in the running for some money. The report also talks about this won't happen until we find a funding pathway. So it's not as though we're throwing money at nothing. We're throwing at money of establishing a pathway to actually create something that could happen and could be very beneficial to the community in the long term. But I will say again, both Councillor Budd and myself have spoken to the in front of that community safety inquiry, and again received some very good feedback from those presentations. And I think that moving forward, this is a great way for us to try and help our community with the issues that we're facing. But the same issues are being faced by many communities across New South Wales and across the nation for that matter. Councillor Budd?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Look, in closing, I'd really appreciate the support from the majority of our councillors here tonight. It's such an important issue. Let's just clarify a couple of things. So we know in the report there's a $6.5 million figure, which is a projected costing of the project 4 or 5 years, stage after stage down the track. That is not the cost to council. The cost is quite small by comparison to that, about a third for our buy-in terms of the project. But the reality of this is, and you hear a couple of different great terms here, leadership. If we can't lobby state and federal government to provide the money, it doesn't happen. That's it. There's no other cost to council or ratepayers. We have to go and do the work, which I fully intend to have a crack at. With the support of my fellow councillors, we'll go and have this lobbying effect. We'll do state and federal government. And to suggest that we haven't done that already, it would be wrong. We've done that. We've been to ministers. We've been to the Premier's office. We've been to federal members. We've been to our state members. We have support, but we don't have a plan. We have to have a plan. You can't sell a car if you haven't got a car to sell. So what I will suggest is, the harder we lobby for this, the better the outcome. We're obliged to do something for our kids. Our whole government approach, state and federal government approach, has got it wrong. They want to intervene when the kid's so far disengaged and so far hurt and broken, they want to intervene with these kids when they're too far gone. We want to provide an inclusive position for anyone that wants to run a program in Tamworth, in our region, keeping in mind this will draw people from everywhere, throughout our region, throughout the northwest. It's not going to be a dumping ground for the courts. It's a referral by family. That's how these people get there. Their family are concerned about these kids being broken and unrecoverable, and they make those recommendations and they apply. It will be a separate body that runs this. It won't be council. It'll be a separate body, and I can tell you from our community safety working group that the bodies lined up to be part of this are there, and they're qualified. Ex-magistrates, ex-governors of jails. They want to be involved because they know what's going to happen. Generational change is what's going to happen if we get this right. We just have to have a start. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thanks, Councillor Budd. Well, that closes the debate, so I'll put the recommendation as printed. All those in favour say aye and raise their hand. Aye. Those against? That'll be 8-1. Councillor Rodder voting against. To the minute takers. Councillors, that brings to a conclusion open council. We now move to reports to be considered in closed council. Mr General Manager, have we had any requests for any of those items to be held in open council? No, is there any request from the community?
You can just be mischievous.
Councillor, Mr General Manager, if you can report.
Sarah?
Good.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Councillors, to report of the closed session of the ordinary council meeting held on the 14th of October 2025. In closed council this evening, you considered 5 items of business. In relation to item 12.1, you slightly amended the motion. In Roman numeral 3 of the printed motion, you had the addition of the Mayor as a signatory to those agreements. For the other 4 items, 12.2 through 12.5, you adopted the recommendations as per the business paper.
Could I have a motion to accept? Councillor Budd, second to Councillor Mears. All those in favour say aye. Councillors, at that I'll declare the meeting closed, but there is a couple of items that we would like to talk about before we leave our chairs.